What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Michael Hellickson here with Club Wealth Coaching and Consulting. We are live on Facebook, and we're here talking with Coach Misti Bruton, who says team building sucks. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Michael Hellickson here. Somebody's got to mute out. Hold on. Who's that? Somebody's got to mute out their Facebook tab. All right, so it looks like you guys got that muted out. Now, remember, when you guys open up your Facebook, please make sure that you mute that Facebook tab so that we're not getting the echo there. That being said, team building sucks? What? Okay, so we're going to have this conversation. I think it's a long overdue conversation because you hear all the time all of us talking about all the great things about building teams and how wonderful it is and how beautiful it is. And it's all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows and peaches and cream and all that good stuff. So that being said, with Coach Misti Bruton here today, we're going to be talking about, the stuff that's not so pretty about building teams, the stuff that frankly sometimes sucks about building teams, how to overcome those things. And we're going to do that with my co-hosts. That is my co-host, Brian Curtis, who's also a Club Wealth coach. And of course, our co-hostess with the mostess is Coach Cherie Benjamin. And so that said, you guys, before we get started, I got to put a quick shout out to our sponsor, which is Wise Hire. You guys, we love Wise Hire, whether it's hiring administrative positions or hiring sales positions. We've had a really good success with Wise Hire. I believe everybody on the call right here is using Wise Hire with success. And if you guys would like, you can take advantage of our discount with those guys. Go to clubwealth.com/wise hire. That's WIZEHIRE. And Tara, maybe you can post that in the Facebook discussion here. But that being said, let's jump right into it, you guys. I want you to understand the pros and cons of building a team. So let's start right off with Misti. Does it really suck building a team? What the heck?
There are things of it that suck, yes. But overall, I love it. But I want to get real. I want to tell people the other side of it because I think sometimes we make it look really easy. And what goes on behind the scenes, people don't really understand what it really looks like. And it's a skill set that I don't believe we come with as realtors. I certainly didn't come with this skill set. It's been a failing forward. So that's where we're at. I want to share the other side of it. I want to share what that skill set is, what the risk is, and, the rewards too. There are so many rewards. But, Michael, you and I have this conversation a lot. And a lot of times I had no idea what I was building. It was fun in the beginning, but I had no idea what this business really looked like when the risk set in and when the responsibility of having a large team, what it looks like.
And it changes, doesn't it? And that's one of the things, Brian and Cherie, to catch you guys up on the conversation Misti and I have been having here over the last few weeks. There's really, we teach people how to build teams, but one of the things that we need to do a better job of, and I'm saying Club Wealth as well as the industry as a whole, one of the things that we need to do a better job of is really identifying the points during the team building process that things really change, right? Where they go from, I'm out there, I'm selling a bunch of houses, I'm doing really well and I'm recruiting people to my team, to all of a sudden now I've got, people I'm responsible for. I transition where, I may be still in production to some degree, but I may also need to start transitioning out of production because my responsibilities now have grown on the operating on the business side as opposed to operating in the business. And that's a pretty major transition, one that I know all three of you have made successfully, but it's not easy. And so talk to that, you guys. Well, let's back up. Before we talk about that transition, let's talk about what sucks about team building. Like just get it out there. What are the things that really just suck about building a team?
For me, it's understanding my job role, knowing what I am supposed to be doing. So I made the transition from being just a solo realtor to being a team leader. And somehow, and I really don't know exactly how, but somehow transitioned out of being in production to out of production, and then became this new set of this new role that I truly, every day I question. I'm supposed to be looking at my finances. I'm supposed to be working on my P&L. My coaches are beating this in my head. It's not my skill set. Recruiting, the balancing of recruiting, the leverage, putting people in place that are better than you. And, it's understanding really how to do that. And ultimately just learning a completely new skill set that did not come in my real estate training as a solo agent.
Okay. So go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, isn't that the truth? That doesn't come, that's not part of the deal. We don't get that. When you take your 60 to 160 hour course, depending on the state you're in, they don't talk about leadership. They don't talk about team building. They don't talk about any of those things. So, here we are, and we're all kind of, there's a little bit of learning on the fly, but that's one of the reasons we all have coaches, and I'm obviously all of us on here do. And we've got to trust the people who have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
well, I think that a lot of this, what people forget is that what we don't learn in real estate school is how to build a business. And so when you transition from being a solo agent to just that one person, self-employed, that we can throw it on our 1040s, or Schedule C, it's very different from that and running a business, and that business that has customers, clients. We don't think about it, but a lot of this is the same as someone who has a restaurant business, someone who has named the business, it's still a business. That's the thing I think is one of the biggest things of the shift, of the mindset shift, with those who do really well at it and excel at it really fast, and those who can't quite get that transition that you have to make, because there's a long laundry list of the suck. I mean, we could probably do an episode that all we talk about is what sucks, and get a piece of paper and you keep turning the page and keep writing. But it's owning the business part of it, and that shift in that business part of it, is the part that I think is one of the hardest things, and probably that first transitional stage that people go through.
Okay, so talk to us about this. Okay, so does it suck? Because it does, right? I mean, there's parts of this process that really do suck. Specifically, talk to me about how transitioning from a solo agent to a team, right? Let's start there. So I'm a solo agent right now. I've got, maybe I'm doing 20 deals a year, 40 deals a year, somewhere in there. And I'm thinking about building a team. I'm all excited about building a team, and I'm just not quite sure what to do next. But I've heard that it's really great, and at the same time, it might suck. So what's the sucky part about going from solo agent to first-time team leader?
I think, Michael, what we have to remember is that the one piece we can't forget is that most agents, let me just speak for myself. I didn't start saying, I want to grow this team. It became a necessity, to grow the team. So it wasn't I think I should just have this big old team that just, get my real estate license and say, I want this big old team. A lot of times I don't want the headache of a big old team. That sounds like a lot. That's a lot of stress. But then as we're doing business and as our business is growing, voila, we become here, and I think all three of us I know have really large teams that we're growing. But Misty, I think I caught you right in the midst of you starting to answer some of that question. I just wanted to throw that in there, that a lot of people don't get into this saying, yeah, I'm going to just get a real estate license and grow this big, huge team.
I could not agree more. And I was so anti-team, even when I started coaching with Club Wealth. I bucked it for a long time because I didn't see the value, and I saw it as a headache. But when I made that transition and really started to understand leverage, that's where it started to make sense. And so, to your point, Cherie, where we're not trained to do business, I could not agree more. And the truth is that just knowing how to run a business isn't it. Like, it keeps evolving and changing. I thought I was running a business. Last year, I had a very big team, and I thought I was running a business. But what I'm finding out this year is I still don't have the skill set that I need to run an efficient business, to run a profitable business. So, on the flip side of it, it's like every day that I wake up, it's something new that I have to learn. And if I can't manage my time and my own schedule, then running a business is truly, it can be a headache and a huge risk.
Okay, so hold on really quick. But Cherie, hang on really quick, Cherie, because you're hitting a really good point, Cherie. I want to come back to your thought as well. First of all, guys, everybody that's watching right now, I want you to type into the screen right now, type in team if you have a team or are on a team. So like if you're on a team, type on a team, or if you just have a team, type in team. If you're a solo agent, type in solo. I want to know who's on the call right now. I want to know kind of what the audience is that we're talking to. Now, Misty, you kind of hit it there where you said, you know, all of a sudden you had to go from doing this stuff on your own to now I got to run a profitable team. Now I've got to actually run a P&L, and I've actually got to, you know, understand the difference between I just go out and sell houses once in a while, and now I'm responsible to this entire organization. And it's a big shift, and it's a skill set that most agents don't have. So before we get into the how, I want to ask all of you guys, and Cherie, don't lose your thought. Write your thought down, because I want to make sure we come back to that.
I forgot it.
Oh, you're killing me.
I forgot it.
But I want you guys to think about this. I want you to ask yourself, why? Like, why would you even do this? Why would you even go down this road of, you know, trading the, you know, day to day, you know, I'm trading time for dollars, and it's just me doing everything, and I'm keeping it small, keeping it all, to all of a sudden I've got all this responsibility. I got to bring all this money in, and oh my gosh, if I lose money one month, it could be $20,000 to $40,000 I lose in a single month. Why in the world would I even go through this?
Well, sure. Yeah,
I
Brian.
was gonna say, there's plenty of days I woke up and called and said, I quit.
I quit yesterday. It's no big deal. So here's one of the things that I think, and I'm not trying to correct anybody, but I'd like to take a step back from where we started to kind of get there. So the first reason, and I think we need to talk about this, is why we're building a team. Mm-hmm. So here's one of the things I see over and over and over again. People build a team because they saw something on Club Wealth. They saw something on website X, on Facebook page X, whatever it is. Like, oh, I can build a team. So if you don't know why you want a team, when things get hard, you won't want a team. Because here's the thing, having a team isn't less work, it's different work. And I think that that's the thing that people miss. I hear this over and over and over again. I want to be out of production. Okay, what are you going to do when you're out of production? I don't know. I got a whole bunch of other stuff I'd like to do. Well, that's great. But guess what? You have a whole bunch of stuff you're going to have to do when you're running your team. You know, ultimately, you can build an extremely large organization and have other people run it for you. But I don't know if there's 15 of those in the entire country where the owner doesn't run the team. And I don't know, those are just statistics. But my point of this whole thing is, why do you want to have a team versus being an individual agent? And let me say this, and I don't know if it's said enough. There are people who should not be team leaders. Don't know who they are. But there are people who shouldn't be team leaders, and that's okay. That doesn't make you a bad person. It means you have a different skill set and you can bring value in a different way. So, you know, understand who you are and why you want to do it before you take this leap. And, you know, talk to somebody. And that's the other thing I would say. Talk to me, talk to Misty, talk to Cherie, talk to your coach, talk to Michael, whoever it is. But don't just go out there and do it, because I promise if you go out there and just do it, you're either going to get lucky and succeed, or more than likely, you're going to have a whole bunch of, you know, things. Like, don't be Brian. Don't create wheels that already exist, because those wheels take a lot of time and energy to exist, to create. So anyway, I feel like I ranted there. I'll stop now.
I had this conversation.
One thing I will say is that I work more not being in production. When I made that shift to out of production, and you were my coach at that time, and I remember just like, Brian, like, I can't, like, it was so many of the Brian, I can't, or the text messages that were really a book that I sent you, that it's because I worked so much more out of production, because there's so much that happens behind the scenes, even with a ton of leverage that we end up having, you know, in those earlier stages. If I rewind it back a few years ago, that's the not sexy side that everyone doesn't see. You know, people think that you get out of production and you hang it up and you're done. Oh no, baby girl, strap on your bootstraps, because it's time to really rock now. You know, that's what really happens.
Yeah, it does. Misty, what were you going to add?
So I had this conversation yesterday, and I was, you know, the industry we're in is so competitive, and everybody's trying to be like everybody else. And I think the real thing that keeps me on track, and this has been a learning, you know, failing forward. How about that? But I think everybody needs to like Brian said, find your why and stay in your own lane. You know, maybe you're in a situation right now where running a team does not make sense. You know, join a team, be on a team, be home at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock every night with your family, and stop, you know, trying to compete with everybody else that's out there. Everybody wants the biggest and the best. And the reality is, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling through this, and they're frustrated and they're losing faith on why can't I build like you, or why can't I be like you? And it's just the transparent side of it is just find your reason, find your why, what's important to you, and stay in your own lane. Because as we're sitting here telling you, these big teams, I mean, they come with a lot of risk and a lot of responsibility. And I feel like, you know, people need to hear that it's okay if you're running an efficient team with 2 or 3 people, and that is what works for you. That's good. If you're making the money that you want, that's a win. That's a success.
So we had our team meetings yesterday, and you just hit something that I said to them in our office team meeting yesterday, and I don't have it sitting in front of me because I had it ready, but I held up a box. And do you know that song that that everyone's hearing? It's that it's not a rap song, it's not a country song, that gonna take them, you know that song? I don't know how it goes.
I think I speak for everyone watching right now and saying I have no idea what song you're talking about.
No more. You guys have heard that song? It's a Billy Ray Cyrus. Okay, so let me go back.
I go Google it. I want to.
Billy Ray Cyrus still makes records? I didn't know that.
Billy Ray Cyrus and this kid called Lil Nas X from Atlanta.
Yeah, I saw that it was out there. I didn't actually listen to it. So
yes, okay. So this song, they didn't understand where to stick it. You know, is it a rap song? Is it a country song? What is it? You know, and to go right to what you were saying, Misty, this is what I shared with everyone yesterday, is that song doesn't belong in a box. That's the thing. You know, it's not a box. It doesn't belong in a box. And just because you see certain people doing certain things that fits inside of a box, that doesn't mean that your butt belongs in that box with them. So you can be whatever it is. I don't like being in a box. I don't like being in the box. I love being outside of the box. We've talked to another gal who was, she likes to travel a lot. She wants to grow a team. She needs to have the leverage. She's scared of a big, huge team. I'm like, what? Why do you want to grow a team? Why do you want to grow a team? You know, and I think that one of the things that I think has really been helping, and we've been working on this a lot more, you know, in Atlanta, is that let's not even talk about your why. Let's talk about your vision as to where you want to grow to. Let's keep focusing on such the positive things of where you're trying to go, because sometimes the why takes us back into a deep, dark place. You know, I can look at my baby's big old pretty eyes all day long, but some days it doesn't make me want to pick up the phone. It doesn't make me want to open up the laptop. It doesn't make me want to go show a house. But that house that I just wrote an offer on for myself makes me want to open up the laptop, makes me want to go show a house, you know? So there's things, that's why, you know, it's instead of looking at the deep, dark place, let's start envisioning where we want our lives to be. And then let's constantly lay that groundwork and do that foundation every day so that we can get there.
Yeah, by the way, I got to jump in really quick here. We got a couple of really good comments. Crystal Oliver mentions, and actually, let me back up. The song is Old Town Road. And I only know that because we've got a couple of great people that have typed it in. And I say great people. I appreciate you guys typing the title of the song in. I just wonder if you're self-identifying as a redneck when you do. I'm not sure. But no. It's just.
I got the horse.
Billy Ray Cyrus. Come on.
Everyone who's watching this is now going to have that song in their head all day long.
I hope not. I'm sorry, you guys. It's like if anybody that gets you singing the what is it? It's a Small World in your mind. They deserve.
Stop it.
They deserve to be placed in. That being said, Crystal Oliver mentions, she says, I have a team and I know why I want a team. I just struggle with feeling like there are gaps and end up failing and being reactive instead of proactive. when I formed my team, I didn't realize the different types of team members, so teams and members, and I've got more of a hybrid team structure now, failing forward 100%. So Crystal, here's what I want to share. And I think what Misty and Cherie are both saying is that at the end of the day, there is no one right way to build a team. That's one of the reasons why all of our coaches produce at a higher level than the people they coach, because frankly, cookie cutter coaching doesn't work anymore, right? That works when you're going from 0 to 15 or maybe even 20 transactions a year. But as you start scaling a team, you've got to have people around you. You've got to be surrounded with people that have been way further than you have, because you're going to encounter things you have no freaking idea that it's a problem or an opportunity. And you're not going to know the difference between a problem and an opportunity until somebody says, hey, watch out, that's a landmine. Or, hey, don't ignore that. That's a great opportunity. And so I see this, and it's not limited to you, Chris. So I think a lot of people go through that. So thank you for that comment. I really appreciate that. And Julie Hines says, a realtor made a video of that song toward his real estate company, very catchy, and may Lord have mercy on the soul of that man, I'll tell you, or woman, whoever it was. So that's awesome. All right, good stuff. Thoughts? Anybody else?
On that, my why and my vision got me started, and they carried me through my first couple of years when I would lose faith and wanted to quit on everybody. I think at some point it's got to transition into purpose, which is what we're kind of coaching on now, with where I'm at in my business, is it's purpose. What I'm using my business now as leverage for other opportunities. And when you get to that place, that starts to make sense on everything that you're doing. So leveraging for bigger and more, more purpose behind it.
Okay, but now I want to talk to you about that for just a second, because I get that, right? As you build a team, and here's the thing, again, you guys, you've got to understand, why am I on a team? Why am I building a team? Whatever, right? Whatever your role is. But here's the deal, Misty, and you really are hitting the point. What happens with most team leaders, as they grow larger, they get bored. And what do? They've built this really great mechanism with all these great wheels and gears turning and everything's working great. And they like to throw a freaking monkey wrench in it to see the pretty sparks fly. Right. And that's what they do. And they get bored and they think, oh, the grass is greener over here. And, oh, I heard that so-and-so is making a ton of money on escrow, so I'm going to go do escrow. And then they forget that, hey, wait a minute. The goose that lays the freaking golden eggs, the machine that drives all of this is your team. That's what makes all of this stuff possible. And you don't get the one without the other, or at least you don't get anywhere near the traction with the one without the other. And so the caution that I would put out there for everybody is, don't get so excited about the newest, latest, greatest shiny object, or newest opportunity or whatever, that you forget to do the things that led you to the success to begin with. And success is freaking boring, you guys. Misty, you and I have talked a lot about this recently, about success really is not exciting. I mean, it's a grind. It's just a different grind. Instead of pounding away at the phones, you're pounding away at profit and loss statements. You're pounding away at lead gen sources. You're pounding away at lead tracking and ROI tracking, and just things that really aren't that exciting, but that have to be done, because if you stop watching those things, all of a sudden something starts to change, and little bitty changes in your business have a broad impact across your entire company. Thoughts?
I haven't been bored yet.
You haven't really?
No, I think it's, and part of it might be because of where I came from, that each time I get to a certain level and I experience that next breakthrough, like I get to that, what you feel as if your ceiling is, and then it gets a little bit stagnant there. And then there's a breakthrough that kind of happens, but the breakthrough happens, I think, because I realize that I'm hitting my head on the ceiling, and I don't like being in a box. So I'm like pounding my head on the ceiling, trying to break through to that next level. But I think that to what Missy was saying is, if you keep on putting yourself out there, if you keep allowing yourself to not get so comfortable, then it doesn't get boring. I think boring happens when you just stay in your comfort zone. When I'm here, I know what all this looks like. Yeah, this can get boring. I could just keep doing this. But I haven't been bored yet. I think that more or less I might have gotten to a point that I got comfortable. And then I woke up and said, well, this is just too comfortable. Cherie, let's go throw a monkey wrench to you, what you said, Michael, let's go blow something up. But what typically happens is that the ceiling opens up, and then I can keep going higher than that. But I don't know. I think I've just been a little bit different in that sense. And I think it goes back to some of what the both of you have kind of said, where Misti's mentioning in reference to her purpose. Well, I figured that out like earlier on, what the purpose is and what's bringing me joy. But then that's what's driven me to break through the ceiling each time, so that doesn't set in.
So I don't want you to walk away from this yet. I want to go deeper on this part of the conversation, because I don't think you're alone. And by the way, I'd like you guys, everybody watching right now, type into the screen if you have ever felt complacent, or if you've ever felt bored, and if you've ever hit any kind of a glass ceiling. Type that in. I want to see how many other people are going through this. But I got to tell you, I really believe that a lot of people go through this. So what I want to talk to all three of you about, because correct me if I'm wrong, raise your hand if you three have been through this before. At some point in your career, have you hit a ceiling? Have you hit a plateau? Have you hit a point where you got bored or complacent? All of you have, right? We all have. How did you get past it? That's what I want to. What did you do to push past that? Because I'm telling you, people are going through that. And especially when the market shifts like it is now, people hit these plateaus and they start thinking to themselves, man, am I really in the right career? Is this really what I should be doing with my life?
I personally think it comes down to self-development. So I am all about transparency. And so this is kind of where we started this, was what sucks about it. But I went through some really interesting dynamics over the last 6 months. I'm an introvert by personality. I am not somebody who really puts myself out there a lot. I do a lot of work behind the scenes. And so I retreat when things happen. And I got bored in my business somewhere along the way. I set my big, hairy, audacious goals early on, and I achieved them. And I achieved them so fast that I didn't think beyond that. And I forgot to self-develop myself along the way. So I hit this spot, and this is when Brian was coaching me, so he knows fully well. I retreated, and I went into this kind of dark little space. And the only thing that got me out of that was self-development. I had to rework on myself with a new skill set. And I'm just now pulling myself out of this. And it's coming with setting those new big, hairy, audacious goals. It's coming with pushing that glass ceiling like Cherie's talking about. But we don't know this. It's like leading blindly through, we don't know what's coming around the corner until we're there. And, when you find yourself in that space, it is so incredibly important, whether you're a solo agent or a team leader or whatever your role is, to self-develop along the way. So I make it very, very intentional to work on myself every single day, because I don't want to be back where I was over the past 6 months.
What are you doing on the working on yourself? What are you doing as far as your self-development?
Honestly, it can be as little as, waking up on my perfect daily schedule, waking up, going to the gym, making sure I do the right things, listening and attracting and staying around the right group of people that inspire me. I have kind of, I don't really put myself out there a lot, so I stay kind of introverted. I focus on making sure every day that I am bringing joy into my life. Because if I'm not bringing joy, if I'm not happy with what I'm doing, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. It's like, I don't know how long we're going to be on this earth. And the reality is, I want to live a joyful life. And so I really put a lot of focus on that. And it doesn't always look like, yes, we're growing a really big business and I'm really excited about where we're going. But at the end of the day, I think where I ended 6 months ago was, I don't like this. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't feel joy in my life on a daily basis. So I have to change it. And where that came from was working on me personally and making sure that what I do, that I'm happy with me and what I'm building. And so my self-development right now is more personal. It's more, making sure that my life is balanced, that I'm spending time with my family, that we're going on vacations, that our finances are in order and not mass chaos like they were in 2018. So I think it can mean a lot of things. But for me right now, it's just about living happy life.
I love that because, I'm really big on, what's going on in between your own ears and your own personal development. And that's one of the number one things first, talk about the suck part. I last week had someone that I realized that I found out was taken deals or leads from us, then this week we find out, and this week it's only Tuesday, that we find out that there's something similar that's going on again. But it didn't bother me the same way that it could have bothered me, let's say 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And why? Because I purposely make sure that I live a very happy life. So if it's not happy for Cherie, it's not pleasing to Cherie, Cherie's just not going to do it. If you're a person who brings in the negative energy, or you're a downer, then you're not going to be around us. The same thing for a team. One of the hardest things for people to do is to cut the cancer. Now the cancer can go bye-bye very soon, and I'll kiss you on your forehead as you walk out the door, but the cancer can go away. I don't care what the cancer has attached along to it, because a lot of times that cancer that's there, and all of us have coached people, and we know that people's cancer tends to be their biggest producers on their team. But that's also the person who's sucking the life out of the team right then and there. So eliminating that, because you're responsible for all of that there. Michael, you were about to say something.
Well, I want you to say exactly what you said in terms of not necessarily a team leader, although I feel your pain, right? I get it, right? My Monday morning, I walked in, I had a couple of people that left the team. I had a coaching client that quit. I had, literally Monday morning, I walked in and it was boom, everything blew up in my face.
Welcome to Monday.
Right. Like literally, that's what it felt like. And I thought to myself, and it's funny because 6 years ago, just 6 years ago, I would have been, in fact, even 3 years ago, that would have stressed me out. And I just, yesterday I just looked at it, I'm like, okay, so, some left, a bunch more will come on, right? Like it's like as easily, if I stick my finger in a bucket of water, if I pull my finger out of that bucket, those people, that's like those people leaving your life. And all of a sudden that water, it fills in that hole like that. That hole doesn't last very long, right? Especially when your attitude and your head and your heart are in the right spot. That being said, I want to speak to it in terms of someone who's not the team leader, but someone who's just a real estate agent trying to get along in this world, trying to make a living. Because I hear what you guys are saying, and I get it, and I'm feeling it exactly like you are, where when happiness is a choice. Happiness is not about what happens to us. Happiness is, look, I've decided that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay with it, because at the end of the day, I'm still above ground, right? At the end of the day, I still have control over what I choose to do today, how I choose to react to these things today. I get to choose that. Nothing anybody does to me from the outside can force me or cause me to be any different than I choose to be today. That being said, what about that person that's just trying to pay their bills? I'm an agent today. I'm just trying to get by. I'm either on a team or I'm a solo agent. What do I do when everything, so my team leader sucks, or my clients, I have 6 escrows out of 7 fall out today. How do I handle that?
That's a skill set. So what you just described is, you can choose to be the victim, or you can choose to take control. And I will tell you, it doesn't matter if you're a solo agent or, a team leader, we all battle life. We all battle stuff. And what the shift that I've seen in myself, like Cherie and Michael described, is that I'm not a victim of my circumstances. I choose every day to make sure that my attitude is positive, and things happen. Everyday things happen, but it's a choice that you make. A couple of days ago, I went out, and I'm now going back on listings, and I went out in a day just of mass chaos. And I ended up listing a house that sits sideways. It's like crooked. I mean, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. And in my past, I would have thought, what a waste of my day. Like everything, if nobody showed up, everything bad that could have happened did happen. I almost turned around and didn't even go into this house, but I did. And, I'm glad I did, because I'm going to get to help somebody who needs it. And I came home and somebody asked, how was your day? And I was like, it was awesome. And it really, in my mindset, it really was awesome, but it was a choice that I made. I had 5 people no show on me. I drove 3 hours, to get this. But at the end of the day, I was working, and and my last couple that I met was somebody that really needed my help, and it felt really good. So I think that's a mindset. I really do.
Hold on. Stop right there. You had 5 people no show on appointments in one day. And most agents, I want you guys to think about this. What would most agents, and not just real estate agents, I don't care what profession. I noticed I got a buddy of mine, Steve Hawkins, has joined us and is watching. He runs a big HVAC company, right? Huge company. And I think about this and I think, he's got estimators that go out and there's all these different businesses. We all have appointments of some kind in our business. When most people, when they have 5 people no show, they tend to get pretty dejected, right? Mm-hmm. They tend to get pretty bummed out about that. That sucks, right? And you start to feel like I wasted my day. I think about one of our relationship managers, Zach. We were having this conversation just this morning where, for the last couple of weeks, he made, part of what our guys do is they make cold calls every day. And he's like, dude, I haven't set an appointment from a cold call in 2 weeks. And he says, you're going to think this is stupid, but I'm really excited to make my big victory today is I set 1 appointment yesterday from a cold call. What a great attitude, right? Way to look at the bright side, way to focus on the victories instead of getting hung up on the failures. And really, are they really failures? Is it a failure that 5 people didn't show up?
It was a choice in that moment because I did start down that little spiral. And it happens, right? We might wake up and, whatever. And yesterday was bad. So we head down into that same spiral. But the truth is the moment I felt that creeping on, I just made a choice to have a different mindset. I thought everything happens for a reason. Tomorrow is a new day. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. I'm still happy. It's a beautiful day. I opened the sunroof and I thought, what a nice day for a drive, but that's a skill set. And I think I was definitely missing that skill set earlier in my life. And especially as a solo agent where I was grinding out there and needed, those commissions and was chasing those commissions. But it's self-development. I think it comes back to self-development. We can all learn that skill set. It's not easy. And especially, depending on where you come from, if you have a tough background, it may be a little bit harder, but it's a skill set that you can learn and you can start to change that mindset right then and there before it even gets started.
I'm gonna name that process for all the people watching. It's called a reframe. So it's one of the most important things that you can do. I ran a little class for my team, and one of the rules that we had was you could not tell us a negative story. It was just a small group. It was an internal group, and I said, no matter what happens, you have to reframe it. And it's a great practice. And, sometimes it's hard to believe the reframes. It's amazing that 5 people didn't show up. That's not a reframe. That's BS. But what a reframe is, I set 5 appointments. That's an amazing thing. Most agents don't set 5 appointments in a week, let alone 5 appointments in a day. And here's the thing. I've got an opportunity to catch up on my reading, listening to audio tapes, whatever it is. There is a way to take that information and reframe it in a way that you can find the positive in it. And I know that's really hard. As I've got a guy on my team, God bless him, that feels like every time he writes a contract, he loses 2. But we've managed to reframe it in a way of like, look, I put 7 things in escrow, at least a couple of them will close. And, that's not the best thing in the world, but, we're taking baby steps to the point where you can say, look, there is a whole bunch of things that I didn't have. When I look at my team and I go back and I get this all the time from people. Well, I don't want to be a team leader anymore. I don't want to deal with this, and this. And I say, great. So do you want to go show houses? Well, no. Do you want to go on listing appointments? Well, no. Okay, so you have a choice. You can quit real estate, you can go back into production, or you can figure out how to be a better leader. And it doesn't mean we've always got choices. We just don't always love the choices that we have. So, those are the opportunities. And here's a huge pet peeve of mine. The job description is team leader, not team manager. By the way, that is a huge thing for me. And you said this earlier that you're working on self-development, Misty. And I believe that leaders are learners. And that's kind of a weird term, but ultimately to be a good leader, you constantly have to be improving. You constantly have to be finding the next thing. And, I talked about this at Listing Agent Bootcamp last year, that we are bombarded today with constant negative information. And I don't care where it's from, the left, the right, the middle, whatever. It's constantly, no matter what channel you turn on, unless it's a sitcom, you're probably, and honestly, even majority of our television is actually finding ways to do messages. And I think that's a good thing. But understand, for me, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. For if I put an hour of crap in my head, that means I got to take 5 hours, and put good stuff back in my head, or otherwise I end up holding my head down and I stop being happy and I stop wanting to grow and learn. So I've got to focus on that and really consistently put good stuff in my head, because there's so much bad stuff that I don't even have control over. So control the control.
I think that's where I got sideways. So what got me here is my hunger to learn. And what's going to get me to my next level is my hunger to learn. But what happened was, as a team leader, your job role and your skill set change. And I wasn't eager to learn how to read my P&L. I wasn't eager to learn how to run a business. I thrive off chaotic experiences. I'd rather throw everything up in the air and see where it lands and work with it from there. That's not the same skill set that's going to get me to my next level. And so, when it changes, I think that's where I got sideways, was I realized the same skill set that got me here, the same education, that same hunger that I have is different now. And I have to accept that this team lead role looks different, and my skill set and my education, I have to find that same hunger to learn that I had previously on a different set of skills.
So
I'll go ahead, Brian.
Things down that I think are important for leaders. If you're considering being the team leader, or if you're currently a team leader, you should ask yourself these couple questions. First of all, are you constantly growing and improving? Because I think Misty just really hit that and how important that is. This is going to sound funny. Are you willing to be a therapist? Because that's part of our job, and we never signed up for it. I don't have a social work degree. I know Misty does. I don't have that degree. But are you willing to listen to all the things and stop saying, stop being a wuss? That's not what that's about. You've got to understand the people. Are you willing to do hard things? Here's one that's really hard for me. Are you willing to protect the team over the individual? Mm-hmm. That's a hard one. I love person X, and they're my friend, and we've built a relationship, and they've been with me for 3 years, but I have to let them go because I have 24 other people who they're hurting. Mm-hmm. And I've got to do that. And that's really, really hard. So, there's so many other things. Do you know how to train people? And I know that sounds funny, but just because you have good information in your head doesn't mean that you can convey it in a way that other people will understand. And here's my last one. Leadership is a constant battle, not a one-time thing. Mm-hmm. If there's one thing that I learned that I didn't believe 5 years ago, is the things that I have to do, I don't have to do them once. I have to do them hundreds of times, over and over and over again, because forever. And that's not going to go away. I don't care how good a leader you are. There is always going to be problems, concerns, cancers, all that stuff. And that is your main job, is to work with that. Because here's the thing, all the systems, models, training, that's great. It all comes down to people. If you have great people and do a great job leading them, the rest of it, you still have to do the work, but it will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, Brian, you nailed it a minute ago when you talked about the reframe. And by the way, all of this is fantastic. And I see Gail Zentech, thank you for posting that. She said, great call, you guys. I'm getting so much value out of this. I want to talk about this reframe for a second. I want you guys to think about Tony Robbins, or think of any other thought leader that you really have a lot of respect for. I don't care who it is. You just picture that person in your mind, somebody that you feel like, man, they're really successful and what a great life they have. And oh, wouldn't it be great if I had a life like theirs? I want you to think of who that person is in your mind right now. Whoever it is, doesn't matter. Just get a picture of them, an image of them in your mind. And as you're thinking about them, I want you to ask yourself, why do I enjoy this person? Why do I want to be more like this person? And my hunch is it has a lot to do with our perception of what their life is probably like, and about the value they bring to others, right? Those are probably two of the biggest factors in why we want to be like a certain person. So as we think about that, here's the next thing I want you to ask yourself. Do they have bad days? How bad do their days get?
Are they alive?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point. Like, how bad do their days get? Do they ever get in arguments with other people? Do they get along with their family all the time? Or do they have, drama in their family occasionally? Right. Do they get along with all their coworkers all the time? Are they always the right team leader? Are they always that right person? Do they always make the right decision, say the right thing, do the right thing, so that the people around them are inspired, motivated, and want to carry on? And the reality is no. I think about Tony Robbins as a perfect example. Do you think every seminar this guy ever did that all of a sudden just people flocked to him? Or do you think he showed up to an empty room once in a while? You think that guy showed up a couple of times and there were 6 people in the room that weren't really that interested in what he had to say? Let me tell you something. I guarantee he went through that crap long before he was filling stadiums. We all go through this in our lives. Do I think that he's ever yelled at his wife or his kids? Or do I think that he's ever, think about this, guys. Yes, the reality is he's done some bad things. We all have. We've all made mistakes. Here's the key. Stop beating yourself up about the stupid mistakes you make, right? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have bad days. Stop getting down on yourself for it and start understanding that that was 5 minutes ago. This is now. I can make a choice now to do something different right this second to be who I want to be. And if I want to be more like this particular person, focus on the good things about that person that you want to emulate and emulate those things and understand that in this moment today, I can be that guy or that woman. And does that mean that they're perfect? Does that mean I want to be like them in every way? No, but I can be that part of that person that I want to emulate in this moment. And even though literally 5 seconds ago, I said something to my kids that I shouldn't have said, I can change that right now. I can walk back downstairs and I can go apologize to my kid. I can walk over to my wife and give her a hug and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I love you. Whatever it is in your life, you've got to figure that out, but you've got to make the decision that you're going to choose to be happy because nobody else can cause you to be happy or unhappy. And Misty, I keep coming back to thinking about you on this because you are such a powerful woman, right? And both you and Cherie are both powerful women. Brian, you're a powerful guy.
I'm a powerful woman.
Brian's singing Shania Twain right now, right? Man,
sorry, I had to break it up a little. It felt like we were a little too serious for a second.
But very seriously, right? I want you guys to think about this because very seriously, I'm thinking about Misty here, and I'm thinking to myself, from the outside, everybody looking at Misty, everyone who knows Misty or has been exposed to Misty at some level, and Cherie, I could say the same thing about you. They all feel like, and they think, or the presumption is, you're a powerful woman and things are going well for you and you're having all this success. And oh my gosh, how amazing are you? And how amazing is all the things that are happening in your life? And here's the thing, because I get to have calls with you guys and you guys get to vent to me occasionally about the stuff that's not going the way you'd like it to go. And I'm here to tell everybody watching, you guys, even people like Misty and Cherie go through struggles. Even people like Misty and Cherie have doubts. Think twice about whether or not they're doing the right thing. Do things they shouldn't do to themselves, to their business, to people around them. We all go through this, every single one of us. But what you've got to decide is, in this moment, I'm going to change who I am for right now. It may not last a week, but it can last for 5 minutes. And for this moment in time, I'm going to make a choice as to what's going to be, what I'm going to allow to dwell in my head. Because that space I control and nobody else does.
Let me piggyback on Cherie. You go. Go ahead, Cherie.
Okay, thanks. I think that one of the things is that, and speaking to what you were talking about, Brian, in this reframing thing, is that I appreciate that, Michael, but I don't take myself that serious. I never have. That's nice for you to say.
But other people do.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. But I don't, and Misty's probably the same way. Like, we hear that, we're like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. But okay, that's cool. But I think that a lot of it is that what I first started to do was I made in this shift. So I've been thinking back to that shift in my mindset when I started making those shifts, and it came back around to me just yesterday when I was discussing this with someone else, is that what I did was I made a small commitment each time to change what that outcome looks like. So those people who are, you had 7 in escrow, 6 of them fall out. Okay. That was hard. That's a really everyday occurrence that happens a lot. It even happens in, the team leader side. We've got all this going on and then it all fell out. Oh gosh, what am I going to do now? So laying goose eggs aren't fun, is what I call them, or just that one deal. That's not fun because that's when you're writing checks, but these micro commitments, and I think this is a big thing for people to do for themselves and the things for them to do on their teams, but that small commitment that Zach made, the small commitment that Misty made, the small commitments, that we make each day is a part of that change that happens in our brain. And as soon as we make those small commitments and we see a victory, just one, we just need that one victory. So that person had 7 that were in escrow, 6 fell out. Guess what their victory was? That one that closed. Because each small victory builds more confidence. Every time we get a small victory, it builds more confidence, and confidence always leads to momentum. That's that shift that happens. So those are things that I think that people really need to understand with how our brains work. So that goes back to, I've said it before that I've got an autistic son. And so this is what we do. We celebrate the small wins. Why do we celebrate the small wins? Because it builds confidence. And that's the same thing that I think that whether you're a team leader, whether you're a solo agent, whatever it is, that's what you have to look at. This might suck, but I did this. Let's focus on that.
It will help. So in my past, and I really want to hit on that, and I know Brian has something to say too, but in my past, I lacked that skill set that you just described, and it always led to depression or sadness or overwhelmed feelings. I don't have any of that anymore because I take action in the right direction every single day. It's, I know a lot of us, I know a lot of people in this business, it's a roller coaster, the shift, whatever's going on, it can lead to a lot of overwhelming feelings of how am I going to get my next commission check? I can tell you the quickest way out of it is exactly what Cherie said, micro commitments to do something today. It may be one micro, get out of bed an hour early. That sounds like a lot, but it really is a micro goal. Do it. Do it for yourself. Do it because it leads to a better life, a happier outlook. And the more that you can stack those micro things on top of each other, you will find, I wake up every single day and I am just thrilled to start the day. Even if yesterday was awful, I can start every single day, reset. That's a skill set. And I wasn't born with it. I learned it through a hard life of being beat up. But everybody on this call or everybody watching, everybody that sees this ever can do that. I promise you. It's just committing to do it every single day. And little things. Maybe you're struggling with weight. That's something I struggle with. Go to the gym. I don't love the gym, but it's my micro goal that if I do this every single day, I'm leading in the right direction. And that leads to happiness, which leads to success eventually.
So here's what I wanted to bring up, and I love the way you said, because it's exactly where I'm going to. So I believe that it doesn't even have to be I woke up and decided to have a better day. Guess what? There's a reset button that you can push at any moment, at any time of the day. Now, here's the thing. Most people go, okay, I'm going to reset it in my head. And that's great. And I appreciate that. And I've done that. But I'll tell you what works better. Find something that makes you feel good. And here's the beauty of 2019. If you can't find something to listen to or watch on YouTube, you don't know how to use a computer, because there is more information, positive information out there than there's ever been. And what I suggest, and I'll throw that out, there's a thing called priming that Tony Robbins does. And literally at any point in time during the day, I can stop and I've got the video and I can play it, and it's 10 minutes long. It's a 10-minute reset. And I promise you, if you have something like that, or you should find something like that, because at the end of the day, if you are having a crappy day, and by the way, I had a really crappy day yesterday. You guys can't tell, or maybe you can, I don't know. But, I pushed reset, and I had to push reset because you know what? I've got responsibilities, obligations, people. And by the way, I don't want to feel like garbage. So find that reset button for yourself and have a process, whatever it is, so that at any point in time, at any day, that you can hit that reset button. That is one of the most powerful tools that I ever learned.
Oh, super powerful. Just super powerful. Mine might be, I love Bruno Mars. I can't help it. I listen to him every single day. If I'm having a bad day, Bruno is on. I can't help it. But yesterday, after dealing with some of that stuff, what did I do? I got in the car. It's Vegas, so it's always sunshine for us. Got in the car, put on the shades, opened the sunroof, and just drove down the strip. That was it. And with my Bruno blasting, hey y'all, that was me. But it was my reset button, because I went up and down the strip. I was there for probably 20 minutes, came back, and it was like, boom, I got to jump into this. That was it. Boom, I got to jump into that. And it happened, so thank you for saying that, Brian, because that's a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people do. And that goes back to what Misty was talking about with the different skill sets. And so I know we've got to wrap up, but for those of you guys who are listening, listen to some of the things that Misti was saying. One of the biggest takeaways from what she's been talking about today is the word skill set. Each level, there's a different skill set for you to learn. And the things that we've been talking about, we didn't dive so deep into everything that sucks, because we can go on and on and on about everything that sucks. But listen, what I really love about Club Wealth TV and doing these types of things and the people who come on it is that a lot of the people who come on it are not here just to boast about, oh, look at me and how great I am. There's more people like us that are considered bigger producers than what we think. But what we do know is that, one, it takes the vulnerability in order for us to grow. So we have to share it out there, and you'll find that there's a lot more people like you that encumbers makes up your tribe. And listen to those that have been there, that I call have all the stripes on their back. I always tell people I got a lot of stripes on my back. So you got a question, just ask me, I'll tell you, because I've been there. And the same thing for Misti. She might not be one who likes to talk about it a whole lot, but I can tell you right now, this lady takes it all in and she knows what she's talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and guys, with that, we've got to wrap up. We're actually a little bit over, but I want to, first of all, again, shout out to our sponsor, WiseHire, who makes all of these possible. Really appreciate them sponsoring these shows. If you guys haven't done so already, check out clubwealth.com/WiseHire. And you guys, all of you, thank you so much for your valuable insights, especially Misti. Thank you for being our guest today on Club Wealth TV. Seriously, like your ability and willingness to be authentic and vulnerable with the world is such a blessing to everyone who gets to experience being around you. I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate that and how much value I feel like it brings to everybody else around you. So that being said, I wish we had more time. This has been awesome, you guys. Please do me a favor, everybody watching. Type some comments in. Tell us how you felt about this. And by all means, freaking hit the share button on Facebook, please. Share this to your timeline. And that goes for our panelists and our co-hosts as well. Just you guys hit the share button, share it to your timeline. Get more people watching this, spread the love, share the love, and let's see if we can't positively and permanently change the lives of 20 million people. That's my life goal, and I hope you guys will help me with that. Have an awesome day, everybody. And remember, inside each one of you, there's a world-class beast just dying to get out. Find something that you can do today at a world-class level. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.